So there have been some notable moves happening in the Pokemon market, which I wanted to cover in this video, also providing some deals that I was able to find either on TCG Player or eBay. Now, the first stuff I want to talk about is Sword and Shield, and I'm going to move on to some Scarlet Violet stuff. Now, Sword and Shield, I've been talking about Sword and Shield booster boxes basically every single day for the past few days because they've been just consistently moving every single day. And the reason for this is because a lot of these booster boxes, there's anywhere from 5 to 10 boxes at this, price range. And then after that, they skyrocket. And that's what's been happening to some of these booster boxes. So I wanted to talk about these consistently just to let you guys know what's been going on in the market. If you're able to find any local deals or anything, it's just a sign that, how fast things are moving. If you find any deals, probably worth picking them up, especially locally, because when things move quickly, you can sometimes find some deals where if they haven't checked maybe in the past few days, you might be saving hundreds of dollars. So the first one here I wanted to mention is Silver Tempest. Now this isn't one of the big ones, but I wanted to mention it because it has now officially crossed $400. A couple boxes sold, and now it's just above 400. As you can see here, it's not going to be overnight for this to go up to like that $500 range. There's probably about 15 to 20 boxes before this hits 500. But it's worth noting, with Sword and Shield right now, things are pretty crazy. It could just take a few days if sales volume is high for a few days where prices, they may reach that point and get to that milestone, which would be $500 for Silver Tempest. But there are also some days where only like 2 or 3 sell, so could be a week or two, could be a few days, depending on how things are for Silver Tempest, maybe to hit that $500 point. But it is worth noting that it now has crossed $400 on TCG Player. Now, if you go on eBay, you're not really going to find any great deals, but Loot Lodge still has, I think, 4 boxes as of recording this available for $400. They're a reputable seller, but other than that, you're really not getting any deals. Everything else is basically TCG Player lowest listed. So yeah, there's this one case here for $3,000, which at this point you're paying about like a $600 premium, so about $100 per booster box premium, which I think is pretty high, but it is first print or whatever. So there is this case listed. I don't know if TCG Player, I didn't actually check if it's cheaper than this, but I believe it's around the same amount. But their Silver Tempest is just one that I wanted to mention, but it hasn't made any crazy moves. But next here is one that has made even though not many boxes sold in the past few days, it has just jumped up to $600 now. You can see just a couple boxes sold the past few days, and it went from the mid to low 500s all the way now to $600. So it has moved up. Now, if you look at supply on the market, you can see here, it does look like it's going to be jumping up if this continues to sell, in the next few days and nobody else lists, which we'll see what happens. But you can see there's 3 boxes here, a few boxes here, and it goes to $700. So pretty crazy that Chilling Reign out of all these boxes could be moving up to like $600-700 now, that is basically at 6. So we'll see what happens. I'd be surprised honestly if this hits 700, but yeah, it could very well happen. But Chilling Reign, from where I was at before, seeing it hit maybe 700 in like seemingly maybe a week or two would be kind of crazy to see, but we'll see if it slows down. But other than that, there's some pretty big price movements that could happen with Chilling Reign if like a little bit of boxes sell. So pretty crazy to see Chilling Reign get to this point. Now, if you go on eBay, not really gonna find any crazy deals, but I found a few here that were a bit cheaper. So this one, a listing here, this box, I checked it out. It looks pretty clean. It's for like $550, so you're saving like $50 off of lowest listed. So this could be a buy. Obviously, do your own research. I'm not sponsored by any of these people, but you can see, the box looks pretty clean, and you get an acrylic case, so that's like $10 worth, and it's under market price or under TCG Player lowest listed. So this could be a potential buy if it's still available. Obviously, like I said, do all your research. Next here, I found another one. This box, the wrapping looks a little bit looser than the other one, but it looks clean though, no rips or anything. So they're not, I guess, as big of a seller or have as many ratings, but just do your research. And if you want to buy any of these on eBay, they're a bit cheaper than TCG Player. I did find another one. This one was kind of sus by how cheap it is, but it's at $500, which is $100 less than TCG Player lowest listed. The box isn't in the best condition, but saving $100, if you're on a budget, this might be a potential buy. It just is a little bit loose of the wrapping, but that sometimes happens, and there's a few, I guess, like stretch marks, but you're saving $100. Could be a buy if this, if you have a budget and you're okay with having a wrapping that's a little bit looser. Next here, Lost Origin. Lost Origin, you can see this one day, 7 boxes sold, And these guys, it's just like Chilling Reign. There's some pretty big price jumps here that could happen. So right now it's at $760 lowest listed. Some recently have sold in the mid sevens, as you can see here, some higher quantities. And guys, look at this. On this one page, you can see how quickly this could jump up to $800 and $900. Lost Origin, it was just in at $500. Pretty crazy stuff. Lost Origin definitely, I feel like I've been saying this whole time, was one of the boxes when it went down from $600 to $500 just like during this period right here. I was telling you guys, this is one of the, in my opinion, best buys for Sword and Shield. I'd be paying a little bit more than buying, Brilliant Silver just to buy Lost Origin, because it just shows that it's one of the top Sword and Shield sets because of the Giratina and the artist, and we are seeing that right now. It is going crazy. So Lost Origin, another box I would highly recommend you guys if you want to buy it. I wouldn't be waiting around. If you can find them in the $600 range, that's a snap buy. But if you want to buy a case and you are okay paying like market price per booster box, you can actually buy cases on TCG Player for no premium. Right now, lowest listed cases, this is the cheapest case I've been able to find anywhere. $4,500. If you guys do the math, you're actually saving a tiny bit of money, but it's basically paying zero premium on Lost Origin booster boxes. And you can get cases, and there's a few sellers here. There's one seller here that has 4. There's one seller that has one, and here it's basically the exact same price. So there are a quantity of cases where you don't have to pay a single box premium. So if you have the money, this could be a potential buy. If you want to buy a case, I always talk about it. If you're buying a case on TCG Player, message the seller, ask, is it being double boxed? Because some people don't do it. So that's one thing I would recommend if you're buying a case. But this is probably a pretty good buy. The fact that Lost Origin at this point is out of print, that it has no premium. I think the set at this point is around 3 years old, so could be a good opportunity to buy them, because we have seen, for example, with Overwhelming Skies, cases just a few months ago had no premium. I even made a video talking about it, and now there's a huge premium for those cases because they all sold out, and it kind of was at that tipping point of having a premium after some boxes or cases sold. In Lost Origin, if you can buy with no premium, I think that's pretty good. Now, if you go on eBay, it's pretty much the same with a lot of these boxes. You're not finding any crazy deals. If anything, you're buying it for the exact same price. But if you can find a clean box, a minty box on eBay, it's probably worth buying it from here rather than TCG Player, where you don't actually see the exact box you're buying. Now, next here, moving on to some Scarlet and Violet stuff, just Prismatic and 151. The Elite Trainer boxes in the past a little bit really haven't been doing anything except being stagnant at $100. This is to be expected. We are supposedly having more supply coming from Costco. I told you guys, for this Costco drop, if the prices where they're at now, I could see it going to $90, and that would be a really great buying opportunity. But in the past few days, you can see nothing's been happening. But worth mentioning that you can buy them for $100 on eBay. There's people selling them for $100 flat. So if you want to pick these up, you have none near you, you can get for cheaper. I don't think this is a bad buy. Now, or speaking of it not being a bad buy, you might want to wait a little bit, possibly for the Costco things to drop. But here, Prismatic Evolutions PCTBs, they're over $300 now. Just in the past few days, there's been a good quantity selling. One day here, 13 boxes selling, and you can see these are going to be entering closer to low to mid $300 range. So I was talking about it from this dip that happened from the second reprint. You guys should probably have been buying because at this point been restocked twice. Chance of it getting restocked again is highly unlikely. We haven't seen another restock, and personally with me, I don't think there's a really good chance that these are going to drop a ton at all, especially if they don't get restocked. So buying at 300 isn't the worst idea ever, but does kind of suck, because if you look at the growth in the past month, yeah, you could have just spent in like $220, $210 for these, and now you're having to pay $100 more per ETB. Now, if you go on eBay, really not going to find any great deals. I found one here that was a bit cheaper, but it has some damage on it. Other than that, they're all basically $310 and above. So really no deals on here. Here's a few for like 300. If you can find a nice clean one for 300, I don't think it's a bad buy at all, because 151 PCTBs are performing crazy. I'll show you guys that at the end here. So next, go to 151. 151 normal ETBs. You can see there are a few days in the past week where there's a high sales volume. And look at this price, guys. $345, lowest listed. Even their sales at this price point And it reinforces why I'm telling you guys, prismatic ETBs, especially from this restock we're supposed to be getting at Costco, it's a generational buy. You can buy them anywhere from $80 to $100. It's a good buy. You wait a few years, prismatic evolutions ETBs at $80 to $100, even $110, whatever you have to pay, 80 to, like, I can even say $120, anywhere in that range. You wait a few years, you're going to be good. A lot of people obviously still claiming MSRP, all this stuff, guys. Look at 151. Are you guys really going to be upset? Let's say prismatic doesn't even perform as good as 151. You think in a year or two, prismatic ETBs are not going to be like 200 plus when they go out of print? Like, honestly, I feel like that's not even that crazy of an estimation or prediction. And if you're buying at $100 or less, which you can easily do now, I don't think doubling your money in a couple of years is going to be a bad thing. So this is just some proof and evidence showing you guys, ETBs of these specialty sets perform extremely well. And just getting a lot of these restocks recently from prismatic, I think is literally just a great buying opportunity right now. But some people are still scared to buy. But you look at this, and like once they stop printing these ETBs, just think what's going to happen to prismatic ETBs. Now on eBay, you're not really finding any deals for these ETBs. I did find one where you could save about like $20 or so. There's this one seller here. They have quantity available, 7 available. They're reputable. And yeah, they're selling for a bit under TCG Player, like you're saying, about $25. So there's a seller if you want to buy these. Not saying it's the best investment of all time at this price point, but if you want to buy them, here's a little bit of a cheaper buy. Now next here, this is the last one. 151 PC ETBs are almost at $1,000 now. You can see there's about 6 boxes here before it hits that $1,000 mark. So these are going to be hitting $1,000 pretty soon here. Yeah, the growth of these. Can't say prismatic will do the exact same where this becomes $1,000 in like a year from now, because I think that's probably not going to happen. But prismatic evolutions, if you're buying them at $300, I mean, look how high the ceiling can be for these PCTBs. So buying prismatic all of a sudden, then buying at 300 doesn't seem like the worst idea ever. Now, if you go on eBay, there's a few listings I was able to find for under $900, because after that, all of them are like 900 above. I found one here. I think these might have maybe some minor damages, like here, maybe a little small dent. So that is worth noting. Here, a little small dent, but you are paying, a little bit under. But if you can find one for maybe $25, $50 more, it might be worth getting a clean one, because it does have like a small dent. I did find another one for a bit cheaper, but this one has some minor dents or whatever, and there's even a video if you want to watch it. But these, you'll have to look at all the pictures, because I haven't done like super careful research to see if these are perfect, which looks like there might be some minor dents, which is always possible for these elite trainer boxes. So if you're paying like $1,000 pretty much near for an ETB, you want to make sure you know exactly what you're buying. And there seems to be a few scratches, small dents, but if you want to get like a small discount, there's a few that are under $900 on eBay for the PCTB. So that's all I want to show you guys. There's been some notable moves that I wanted to mention in this video, and I wanted to share some deals that I was able to find for some of these as well. So hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.